주일날 아침 6시 4분입니다. 옆에는 성경책을 좀 읽었고, 지금은 어제 토요일날 뉴욕타임즈를 좀 읽겠습니다. 뉴욕타임즈는 토요일날도 무더기가 오는데 대충 한번 읽으면서 어떤 스토리가 나오는지 좀 보겠습니다. The New York Times, Saturday, Sunday, April 27th to 28th, 2024. Optimism won't cover those checks. America is going deeper into debt, even though the storm clouds are gathering around the world. Over the past few decades, in a surge of bipartisan national self-confidence, the U.S. government has borrowed a lot of money, sometimes in response to national emergencies, and sometimes to do the things people thought were worth doing. Americans gave ourselves permission to incur all this debt because interest rates were low, and many people assumed that things would stay that way. So the cost of carrying that much debt wouldn't be too onerous. Growing Japan's cold cash. The making of the prized yen started with a sheet up on a Himalayan hillside. The views and spectacular in this corner of eastern Nepal, between the world's highest mountains and the tea estate of India's Darjeeling district, where rare orchids grow and red pandas play on the lush hillside. But life can be tough. Wild animals destroyed the corn and potato crops of Pasang Sherpa, a local farmer. He gave up on those plans years ago and resorted to raising one that seemed to have little value, a jelly, an evergreen yellow flowering shrub found wild in the Himalayas. Farmers grew it for fencing or firewood. Mr. Sherpa had no idea that bark stripped from its jelly would one day turn into pure money. The outgrowths of an unusual trade in which one of the poorest pockets of Asia supplies a primary ingredient for the economy in one of the richest. A novelist kind of freedom in East Germany. Jenny became a writer when a country was swallowed by the West. She became a writer because a country vanished overnight. Jenny, now 57, was 22 in 1989 when the Berlin Wall cracked cracked by accident, then collapsed. She was having a girls' evening out. She said so. She had no idea what had happened until the next morning. When a professor discussed it in class, she said it became real to her. The country she knew, the German Democratic Republic, or East Germany, remains a crucial setting for most of her striking, precise fiction. Her work, which has grown in equity and the emotional power, combines the complications of German and Soviet history with the lives of a character, including those of our own family members, who, whose experiences echo with the past like contrapuntal, contrapuntal music. A kingdom of oil turns its wealth toward AI, spending billions to attract talent. Saudi Arabia may upend a global competition. The lure. Billions of dollars in Saudi money as the kingdom seeks to build a tech industry to complement its oil dominance. To bypass the congestion, frustrated event-goers drove onto the highway shoulder, kicking up plumes of desert sand as they sped past those following traffic rules. A lucky few took advantage of a special freeway exit dedicated to VVIPs, very, very important people to the future. A sign read on the approach to the event called LEAP. More than 200,000 people converged at the conference, including Adam, chief executive of Amazon's cloud computing division, who announced a $5.3 billion investment in Saudi Arabia for data centers and artificial intelligence technology. Welcome to Venice. That will be €5, please. Grappling with tourist glut. The Italian city charges some sightseers to enter. I only find out because my partner texted me this morning to say it was the happening. Outside the station, police officers in riot gear lingered while a flock of assistants in colorful safety vests stopped arriving travelers to ensure that they had a QR code indicating that they had registered to visit on a city website. A novelist finds inspiration in Germany's tortured history. There is some kind of freedom that you wouldn't expect to have surrounded by a war. Don't fall for locals' modesty. Canada's most populous city has much to offer with an outstanding after scene, fantastic food, and diverse neighborhoods. Locals may insist politely, of course, that Toronto doesn't belong atop any traveler's wish list, but don't fall for that Canadian modesty. Proudly multicultural with an outstanding art scene, fantastic food, and a patchwork of diverse neighborhoods to explore. This sprawling city, Canada's most populous, has more to offer than one could possibly digest in a single weekend. But that's enough time to sample the local smorgasbord, smorgasbord from the many new restaurants and the shops to the latest art exhibition and the newly revitalized landmark the theater. Anyone in town for hot dogs, North America's biggest documentary festival, which begins this Thursday, will find plenty of reasons to roam beyond the downtown core, from the beaches in the east to drinking and dining hotspots that have sprouted in some unexpected places in the west. Lessons in loyalty that Mutt taught me. I knew I had to hold on to what I needed, even if that meant involving a lawyer. This competent animal behaved as if there were no person she would rather be with. My husband said we can't tell anyone about using a donor egg. What could possibly bring him around? Or how could I make peace with his position? And have I really deprived our unborn child of a right to privacy by telling a few people about how the child was conceived, name withheld? My husband and I are thrilled to be welcoming our first child this spring after an arduous IVF journey lasting nearly 2 years. We ended up needing an anonymous egg donor whom we found through an egg bank to conceive our child. In latest gambling scandal, some see ugly future. NBA bans player for life for betting on sports games. Is it the tip of the iceberg? Bill Bradley, the basketball Hall of Famer and former United States Senator, known as a staunch opponent of legalized sports betting, was speaking about the topic back in January, but it might as well have been predicting the future. Well, there hasn't been a scandal yet, he said, discussing how professional sports have become ever more entwined, entwined with the gambling industry in recent years, so the worst has been avoided. but all of the conditions are there for the untoward to occur. A love triangle by a tennis court. The movie Challengers from the delectable Call Me By Your Name doesn't shy away from its plot line's erotic implication. To do that, have you had to shed other people's ambition for your career? Its magazine is only part of a company's mission. High sobriety, a mishmash, is a store, a website, a clothing line, and more. I believe it's my responsibility to, make sure that young people still dream of being journalists. Hearst Magazine's announced layoff in 2023, so did, for that matter, High Sobriety. Celebrity bag designer sentenced to jail for smuggling exotic skins. Miss G, whose full name is and whose business was incorporated into a luxury handbag company called G, was arrested in 2022 in Cali, Colombia, and then extradited to the United States last August. We stand the divided. Book review, reboot. Examining the convergence of popular entertainment and conspiracy theory. The reboot in question is about a TV show called Reb Beach. By the book, Steve. I didn't realize it then, but as I started meditation, I was embarking on a practice of a lifetime. Challengers put spins on the love triangle. You only shoot one or two takes. That surprises me. Me too. It was super fast. I remember being like, that's it. It's because they are so fantastic. I hate the pushing. If this is great, why do you have to torture people? Her streak of rebellion. Her streak of rebellion runs deep and long. K details her life as a pioneering riot girl in a new memoir. NATO imagines start up a great power war. The alliance is running its biggest exercise since the Cold War began. Specialists at the MAC-M is slowed down and the engine cooled up, and the collective sigh seemed to exhale inside the streetcar. The Ukrainian hilltop town that is Russia's next big target. What is the situation? Most of the about 13,000 residents had fled as shelling rattled largely empty apartment buildings, and craters dotted the tree-lined roads. Resistance in a blackout with almost no cell service or internet. Rebel areas in Myanmar find the connection. The communications blackout carries awful consequences for people's lives, yet it has brought one unexpected benefit. Spanish leader weighs resignation, uncharacteristic move by the prime minister transfixes the country. The trigger for the sudden crisis was the decision by a Spanish judge to entertain a complaint from Clean Hands, a group known for filing cases in court against politicians and other prominent Spaniards. Publisher testified to catch and kill. David Packer said Trump praised him for helping to bury scandalous stories. We didn't want the story to embarrass Mr. Trump or embarrass or hurt the campaign. Quoted, he said a breaker for Trump. Over and over, the justice circled around the idea that presidents probably were protected from prosecution for actions central to how they carried out their jobs, but likely could face charges for conduct that was private in nature, extending even limited immunity from criminal prosecution to presidents would be a historic ruling. A conviction from the Me Too era was fragile from the start. After last chance appeal from Harvey, court orders a new trial. Manhattan prosecutors, under pressure for not pursuing charges earlier, made a series of gambles. Teen girls spur push to ban fake AI nude. Dozens of states are taking steps to combat sexually explicit images of minors. A few weeks later, she and other female students learned that a male classmate was circulating fake nude images of girls who had attended the dance, sexually explicit pictures that he had fabricated using an artificial intelligence app designed to automatically strip clothes photos of real girls and women. Bird flu virus found in pips of U.S. milk samples. Results suggest the outbreak may be more extensive than official tally showed. Regulators say there is no evidence that the milk is unsafe for humans to drink. Playing cards with a motive, seeking tips and cold cases. If one case is solved, it would be worth it, she said. Break up with her, then brace yourself. A pop superstar litigate her recent romances in lyrics for fans to lap up. What Swift reveals on her sprawling and often self-indulgent 11th LP, The Tortured Poets Department, is that this stretch of productivity and commercial success was also a tumultuous time for her emotionally. Taylor Swift's latest LP is a full-throated return to form, an autobiographical and sometimes spiteful tales of a heart attack. Nadal aims to solve his latest tennis riddle himself. He's sorting out how to ready his body for one last clay coated season. Right now, the main thing is not winning, rather leaving the tournament healthy. Popular everywhere but at Washington, U.S. authorities consider Chinese drone company a national security threat. In this kind of environment, that's actually pretty quick, said Kay, a volunteer search and rescue worker. He was operating one of the drones made by the Chinese company, which dominate sell to law enforcement agencies as well as the hobbyist market in the United States. In the middle of the 2024 U.S. election campaign, both parties are eager to show they are tough on China, wanted a bit of a unicorn to help repair Boeing. Boeing declined to comment on its chief executive search. An Oil Kingdom directed its wealth to AI. AI ambitions add a new layer of significance to a kingdom already key to Middle East policy and global energy supplies. On Himalayan hillside grows Japan's cold, hard cash. Making her home bar something special. An artful display of liquor and glassware tells your guests that you care about them. Even if you are not a big drinker, it's worth taking the time to set up a home bar. Homes in Amsterdam for $1.1 million. This apartment on the top 2 floors of a 4-story building is adjacent to Oosterpark, just outside the central district in Amsterdam's Oostboro, where the solar eclipse overshadowed all others. viewers of the solar eclipse on April 8th were treated to stunning celestial phenomena up and down the event's path during totality. Hadron family tree takes the Venice's golden lion, Australian's installation, encompassing thousands of years, conquers the Biennale. We are all one, he added. We must treat urban forests as nicely as we do baby trees. We have become so separate from the natural world that we don't feel safe in it. An act of defiance can improve science for women. Motherhood often feels at odds with a global career in research. Optimism won't cover America's checks. The United States continues to borrow all this money, even though classical Keynesian theory tells us to borrow in times of recession, but commit to that reduction in times like this when growth is good. The Constitution is no match for Donald Trump. To move past the former president, the U.S. must change its founding document. The goal is to keep authoritarian from ever again gaining power without winning a majority and stacking powerful institutions with judges and officials. Biden is helping labor unions turn a corner. He's the most pro-labor president since Harry Truman. Is that enough? Wartime wage and price control were an equalizing force, but the new equality persisted for decades after those controls were removed.